All right, so 2003 to 2006 Toyota Camry. We are changing out the battery today. So I had a customer give me a call, say that the car wouldn't start, it would just click. So went and picked up a starter. That was our guess. We thought it just needed a starter, and then got here and found out right away that it needed a battery. So in order to change this battery, which is very easy to change, you're going to need just a few things. You will need a socket and a ratchet with a 10 millimeter and maybe a 10 millimeter wrench. All I'm using is just an impact gun with a flex 10 millimeter, and that's all you need to change out this battery. So first thing that you got to do is take this brace off, and yours may not have this if the last person didn't put it back on, but there will be one 10 millimeter bolt that secures it to the body here, and you can see how rusty it is. If you live in somewhere that's got a lot of rust, there's a good chance this might break off, so just be careful, work it back and forth if it's real tight. And then the other thing that you need to take off, there'll be a retaining rod that sticks up. It actually just hooks in underneath of the battery tray, and it'll be sitting right about here. And there's just a 10 millimeter nut that holds the other end of the battery hold down on. Now, you can see if you look down the back of there, I know it's kind of dark, but you can see that there's a cutout in the battery tray, and there's actually just a hole for this thing to latch onto right there. So if this thing falls out, that's where it goes. Once we get this stuff off, of course, we can go ahead and remove our battery terminals. So I've already loosened these off, just 10 millimeter nuts. I go ahead and take these off. Usually you'll take the negative one off first and then the positive one. Just make sure that it's not flopping around touching anything. It's a good practice to get into. Now you can see the size difference. This is a little bit smaller of a battery for cost reasons and whatnot. This is the replacement factory battery, not the original, but you can see 585 cold cranking amps, and it is a Group 24F battery. That's the size of the dimensions of the battery. This is a Group 35, so it's a little bit smaller, but it's a 525 cold cranking amps. Is a little bit smaller, but it'll still do the job just fine. Now, before I condemned the battery, oh, yep, wrong way. We're off to a good start. Before I condemned the battery, I did check the charging system. It's a good thing to check, obviously, because if your alternator dies, then it's going to drain the battery down. You go to replace it, then the car's going to run for so long until that battery drains down. So I just use a multimeter, or I just had a power probe that tells me the voltage, and you want to see about 14 volts. That's letting you know that the alternator is charging. If it wasn't charging, you'd be at whatever the battery is at. It would be 12.6 volts for a fully charged battery, and it might go down from there. It might see 11 volts, something like that. That would indicate that the charging system is not charging. So at this point in time, you would go ahead and clean any of the corrosion off of the terminals. Now's the time to do that. You can see that these are already coated with a bunch of stuff, so they're actually in pretty good shape. And just double check before you put these on that the negative is the black cable and the positive is the red cable. And we'll go ahead and get these put on, and we'll tighten them down. You don't have to tighten them down super tight, you just want them snug. Just be careful because it's easy to break these. And those battery posts are lead, so they're a soft metal. We'll put our cap back on here. So those are snug. Now we're going to put our battery hold down on. Now, I don't think any of these cars came with a battery blanket, but some vehicles do. And if yours had one on it, that would be the time to install it back on there, is before you put the terminals on. So grab this here. We'll start this back one first. It can be a bit tricky. So we got that hooked in there. Get this started. And if you have some penetrating oil or lube, it would really help to put that on the threads at this time. Get this one started. This one has already fallen out. There, get it hooked in there. Get my gun. And we want it just tight enough where the battery's not going to move around. You don't want to keep cranking it down and cranking it down. You do run the risk of breaking the casing. It is just plastic, so that's pretty much it. You're going to go ahead and jump in the car, make sure that it does start. Now, some cars may do just that. They will start and stall right away. And all that is it's just the throttle body's learning from a fresh battery, and the ECM gets reset and all that stuff. It'll stop and stall. It's a common thing on a Toyota, some other vehicles as well. That's pretty much it. The last thing you may do is reset the clock or the radio. If you've lost some of those features, just reset that stuff and you're all good to go. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button.